That's a record, Richo, since we've been keeping records.
Both of those guys last week, amazing in their first games, in the same game. It's a match-up there. Colin Sylvia, he's one that really needs to stand up. He's a senior player. He's got the ability to kick 5 goals. Just Colin Sylvia, we need to see it.
Jack Viney and Jobe Watson, so impressive last week as the first game up. There he is getting in front of Watson there, and he gets the first possession as well. Just bores in a little harder. Davey back into the side for the Demons. Zaharakis Goddard. Nice awareness of Heppel's presence there. Pushed out of the way. On that occasion was Gillies. Now Grimes. Hurley, normally really good on his left.
Interesting to see Jack Viney get the first touch of the game again. This game for Melbourne, to me, is all about how competitive, how aggressive they can be. It's amazing. They may well have the most competitive first-year player that I think I've ever seen in Jack Viney.
And he's going with Watson at the moment. That's going to be a steep learning curve for the young man. Gee, they trust him, don't they?
Frawley out wide to the fast and smooth-moving Blees.
Great to see him, Bristol, starting the game. He was a sub last week. That was a real surprise for me. He's had a great pre-season, Sam Blees. He's a young player that's got a bright future. He's something different. He's super quick. Good to see him out there for the start of the game.
Mitch Clark, long Jamar there, and Bagley happy to find the boundary.
Mitch Clark looked pretty good early last week. Kicked a couple of goals and then hurt his ankle and went off. Didn't do a pre-season at all, really. He's been rehabbing his foot.
Surprised he's playing tonight, Richard.
Yeah, he's done well to get back and even be out there at the moment, Mitch Clark.
There's Nate Jones, one of their goers from last week.
When he did the ligaments in his foot, they said, you may not come back. It's a really serious foot injury, so it's great to see him out there.
Jamar Jones, impressive stuff. Here's Davey. Bomber numbers really good here. Hibbard, solid defender. There's Watson. And
too high, Essendon.
So a little soft free kick there, Jobe Watson's way. We know the umpires are hypersensitive to any high contact on the ground. I like seeing Aaron Davey at half forward. He basically started forward pressure, Aaron Davey.
He's one of the first, wasn't he?
At a fanatical rate. I think that's where he should play his footy.
Goddard finds Stanton with a little bit of space, ran back into the traffic. Goddard's got to go against Jamar. He did. Stanton was clever, but Melbourne in response. Here's McDonald. Didn't have the awareness that someone was right on his tail.
Play on.
Demons cracking in here at the moment. No real assertiveness yet in this game.
See Dustin Fletcher there, BT. When he's allowed to be the last man in line, Colin Sylvia got sucked into the play. Dustin just sat back. You can't let him do that. You've got to engage him.
Fletcher debuting 20 years and 3 days ago. Incredible career that he's had. Unbelievable career, playing his 367th game tonight. There's Davey, had to get it out. Hooker trying to fend off Heppel with just a clean hand in there. Kick around the body is wide, looking for Cramery, but did him Frawley.
Yeah, great to see Chip Frawley in a one-on-one marking contest, but also he's run out of defence before. Mark Jamar drops a bit of a sitter, but that was the message on the board. We know what Mark Neal wants from them: attack and hunt the footy with speed.
Right to Davey, took him on, got around. Got it back in the end. Hurley crashing through, had to get through a couple in the end. Hurley, one of those was Grimes, and he was nearly Melbourne's best player last week.
Well, every time an Essendon player has the football, they are harassing and chasing at the moment. It's a good start.
No chance, my footy. Thanks.
It's a funny feeling here at the MCG at the moment. It's almost like there's a lull over the ground. It's a good, strong crowd, but almost everyone's sitting here waiting to see what unfolds and just seeing if Melbourne can keep a competitive effort up. They've started at least with some good one-on-one contests so far.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? But you just get the feeling Melbourne just in the hunt here tonight. It appears that they're all over it. Let's see what happens in this first quarter. Sylvia, Fletcher, just work it forward was his motto there. Did well, although McDonald on the end of it. Got to work here. Gillies around the corner with a good ball to Grimes. Couldn't hold the mark in the end. And now the extra man Tumpus wide. Happy to concede it.
At the moment, you certainly can't question Melbourne's endeavour. They are having a crack, which is what that man Mark Neal wanted from them. They need a few things to go their way. They need a few bounces of the ball to head in their direction, get a couple of early goals, get that confidence up.
Melksham.
Jack Viney's tackle again there. Second game of AFL football.
Easy, easy, easy.
Just love the natural aggression of this young man and his fierce competitive nature. And that's what you want to see from a few of his teammates tonight. A bit of aggression, bringing that to the table.
Myers to Hurley. Couldn't hold on. Zaharakis. Back into the lineup. Bagley here. Tidies up to Stanton. Around the corner, high ball. Crammery's really deep with Frawley. He did well. He protected the drop zone of the ball, so only he could mark it.
Yeah, he did it beautifully. It was a great kick to the fat side of the ground. That's a leading forward. That's what you love, and he just timed it. He pushed off at the last minute. Nothing you can do as a defender there. The kick was always going to Crammery's side.
15
and if you're any
seconds
good as a
gone.
forward, if you protect that area, you should be able to mark it. Jack Watts is going with David Zaharakis early. It's one-on-one all over the ground. That's good to see. He's accountable for someone, and I think that's been the question mark.
Just the one goal last week for Crammery. This will suit his left side, and he comes and he hoists the first goal here for the Bombers.
Good start for Stewie Crammery. Had plenty of fat side to lead into there. And as I just said, he did it beautifully. James Frawley, a strong man, but if you get the ball on your side, you really only have to hold your body weight and then just fall into the mark, and he did it really well. Finished off nicely. It's a nice ball drop there from Stewie. Pretty happy. Love to get your first goal on the board. It'll get his confidence up, and as modern footy goes, he came straight off the ground, Das. Just always seems to be the way these days. As flat as attack you would be if you kicked a goal BT and came off.
Absolutely, especially for those, you know, permanent goal kicker type players.
Permanent forward, I reckon you stay on. If you're a midfielder, I understand the rotations you have to come off.
Absolutely. Hooker, couldn't agree more, Richo. Here's Carlisle's a real big find for the Bombers in defence, and he looks like he's been groomed for Dustin Fletcher's job, doesn't he, Carlisle?
Yeah, super impressive. He's 200 centimetres tall and nearly 100 kilos and can run really well, Carlisle. So exciting prospect going forward for the Bombers.
Nathan Jones. Bombers have got some numbers here, and there was Carlisle. Davey on his non-preferred right side made a real good fist of it. Kicked the goal, Aaron Davey.
Well, there he is, Davey. He was meant to be the sub tonight. Mackenzie did his calf in the warm-up, and he was relieved of those duties and came into the starting lineup. That's what he's there for. He's there for forward pressure and tackle intensity, but he's there to crumb the ball and kick goals as well, and that's something he's done for a long, long time, and he's a sharp shooter. If he gets time around the goals, he's got silky skills. Didn't have time to think about that one. Put it on the boot. Nice snap.
It was initially going to be the starting sub, Richo, Aaron Davey, and a late withdrawal, Geordie Mackenzie gets his spot on the ground. That, to me, as we said before, that's the spark that Melbourne need. They need his fanatical forward pressure and chase and a freaky goal. He seems to be in his right spot there for Mike.
Myers, long and deep, right of the target. Got rid of his man there early in the contest, Ryder, and then had to deal with him again once the ball arrived.
That was a great bit of footage there of Dave. He just timed it beautifully. He was at the side of the pack, but then pushed off his immediate opponent, got to the front, and just timed it well. Great Crummer's goal.
Look at the one-on-ones there. In that high shot, Bell-Chambers over the top. Hocking, did he dispose of it illegally? Heppel, man out of bounds on the full.
What it's like as a player at a footy club when things go wrong and you have a shocking start. You've got to go back to the things you can control as a player, and you can't walk out tonight saying I'm going to have 30 possessions and kick 5 goals. No one can guarantee that, but it's the little things. It's what we've seen. You know, I keep going back to Jack Viney, but you have to. I've seen him lay 3 tackles when he wasn't the first player on the scene already. I've seen him get in the face of the opposition. I've seen him do things that no one can take away from him. He's going to bring to the table that fierce competitive nature, and let's hope he drags a few of his mates with him tonight.
I think if you do that early, I think the rest of your natural game comes anyway, Das, your marks, your kicks and all that sort of stuff. So if you get your work rate right, the other stuff tends to just fall into place.
Hurley, Bell-Chambers, Heppel within 55. I think he deliberately did that and found Alan Davey. He looked like he was going to load up the long bomb, but just at the last minute, chipped it sideways to Davey.
Yeah, that was sloppy. You can't let Dyson Heppel run through 55 metres and deliver inside 50 like that. And last week against Port, too often the Port Adelaide players were able to put it inside 50 with no pressure on, and you can't allow that too often.
Saw the Rewalt brothers dominate last night. Will it be the Davey brothers tonight? Well, they're going goal for goal.
Little brother Allen gets one back the other way. Your eyes light up, as Richo pointed out, when you see Dyson Heppel just strolling through the middle of the G without a lot of defensive pressure. He's going to be good enough to pick off targets, and that little man there on screen was a beneficiary on that occasion.
See Dyson Heppel, he's manned up on Viney for this centre bounce, and they were very ordinary in here last week, Melbourne. Only had 9 centre clearances, 7 of them to the one man in Nathan Jones, who had Corns tagging him, so he needs help in the middle.
There's Davey again, providing some issues. Little ball to Heppel. Waxing each other at the moment, those two. Zaharakis, drawing ball, Ryder. Gillies, did he infringe? Howe now to tidy up and disguise that handball well, got as close to the boundary as he could. Zaharakis gets another look, hocking over the top. Couldn't hold it. Free kick going to Turlich there.
Did well then, Gillies. Ryder came out on the lead.
Zaharakis for his 3rd attempt and finds Hocking.
Just an issue for them at the moment as Heath Hocking goes back. He's going to actually flick this one off.
He does, gets it to Goddard. Difficult angle. Now that'll be down the ground if it doesn't go through. It's gone through for a goal, so the advantage will be paid. Ripper goal.
Well, PJ Goddard has called for that from Heath Hocking, even though he was tucked up on the boundary. And he's ended up slotting that through from the boundary line.
Well, Lingy, you'd be happy with that. You talked about Goddard getting ball forward of centre and hitting the scoreboard. And
exactly right, Richo. That's what I want to see from him. That's what the Bombers want to see from him. He'd almost better off getting 15, 18 touches forward of the centre than down back.
Once again, the Bombers out of the middle go forward and deep, and free kick to Cramery. Against Cramery it'll go, to Frawley.
Just some of the accountability at the moment is just a little bit of a concern for the Demons. We heard Mark Neild say, we trust you, you've got to trust yourselves. And I'm just not sure there's that trust in your teammate at the moment that if you leave your man, someone else is going to come. And that's when you get into disarray.
Frawley to Jones, and I think maybe penalised for a throw there.
So right here we get a good look at the Melbourne players. They want to go back and pick up their man, but sometimes you've got to pick up someone else's, and that's just, you can't have that. You just can't have someone waltz inside 50 without anyone near him. It just means there isn't trust. There isn't that ability to pick up the most dangerous.
Once again, the handball off to someone with momentum. This time Hurley. Bell-Chambers at the back. Watson lurking dangerously. Pursued by McDonald. Did well, Watson, on the non-preferred. And Zaharakis has had it about 7 times in 2 minutes.
There's a lot of Melbourne players back, but at the moment they're just all guarding space. You need to, there's no point guarding space if you're going to let players waltz in and mark uncontested.
Zaharakis hasn't got the journey. Riders there, Gillies there. Free kick, it'll go the Bombers' way.
Well, some worrying signs, BT, Richo and Lingy down there as well, is that they are just loose, unaccountable at the moment. The one player that they had a big square around, Joe Watson, make sure he doesn't have an influence. Guess who's the leading possession gatherer on the ground at the moment? Joe Watson, and I haven't seen any physical presence around him.
Bell-Chambers for the Bombers' third consecutive goal. A certainty, and it is.
Well, 4 goals to 1. It's the time in the forward half. They barely had it forward of
You got the goal.
centre the Melbourne
go,
Football
boys, arms
Club.
down.
Need to win this centre clearance and lock it into their forward
go.
line and just try and
Let him
slow
go
the pace
now.
down in the game now.
Just let him go when I ask, thank you.
Yeah.
So only 15 minutes of this quarter played, and already Mark Neeld has decided he needs to get down near the players on the bench.
And that stat we just had on the screen, time in forward half, 81% to 19. Huge clearance here. Have to get it forward and lock it in and just steady this game down.
Sylvia able to turn it around, but Heppel, who's playing a really good game. So is this man Zaharakis. Longish handball, Melksham, the link up, the run play of Dempsey, the halfback flanker. Has a good look at what's there. Gets it into the spot. Dangerous spot it is. Tidied up by the Demons here. Interesting that both clubs wearing black armbands. There's Viney. Did he dispose of it legally? The umpire said no. It's a free to Howlett.
Over here. Come back on.
There's another handball receipt. They've got to stop this.
Stanton just runs around the back ever so easy. Bell-Chambers got it again.
Yeah, and there were one-on-ones everywhere inside forward 50 again for the Bombers. And the system at the moment is just breaking down everywhere. Who is prepared to leave their man to work back hard to try and go third man up? At the moment, it's self-preservation. Every player for Melbourne is just worrying about their own opponent, too scared to go back or not prepared to go back and work hard enough.
You can't. Sorry. You go, BT.
6 marks inside 50 already for the Bombers. Bell-Chambers for his second goal. Doesn't let them down. 4 in a row for the Bombers.
Well, Richo's going to talk about the handball receives, and that's right. I mean, that is just a discipline thing. You've got to get across and make sure that you don't allow overlap run.
And you love that, Darcy, to be playing forward because they don't have time to set up, because they don't go have to kick back behind the mark. They flick it off. Doesn't give the defenders time to set up. Doesn't give players time to get back into space. And if you get one-on-ones as a tall forward, you're pretty happy. This is what you have to stop. A guy like Stanton, a great user of the football, give him time to deliver it inside 50. What that does, it gives forwards one-on-one chances. It doesn't give players time to get back and fill up space. You've got to make them kick behind the mark. And
Another clearance for the Bombers inside 50. Last year in this game, they kicked 6 goals, 16, the Bombers, for the entire game. They've already got 5 straight. Jones just to steady the ship. You feel like Melbourne just need to possess the ball for a couple of minutes here. Slow it down. I mentioned the armbands for the Bombers. Bruce Haymanson, a famous and long-time coterie member for them. And for the Demons, it is for private reasons. We have not been told who it's for other than to say it's private, if you're wondering.
So they do go into a bit of a holding pattern here, Melbourne. And this is one of their other issues, is on-field leadership. Who is assessing the game? Who understands now that this is exactly what they have to do? And at least they've got into a pattern here and slowed it down. Just hold the footy for a little while.
Howe just presenting up nicely. Every player there, they've honoured every kick and found every kick. Here's Trengove.
it's good to see Trengove back out there. And that was a great build-up. Switched the play from one back flank to the other and then worked it around the boundary.
Good foot use, wasn't it?
Yeah, all through kicks and marks.
Jack Trengove. A really obvious, difficult angle, and length is an issue as well. Falls well short. Liner with the spoiling ball.
Full credit here, boys, to Essendon's professionalism. If you ever want to start a game of footy against a team that's struggling, this is how you do it. Their tackling's been ferocious. Their ball movement's been quality. They've really defended well and got off to an absolute flyer. That's a great way to crush a team's confidence.
Good point you make, Lee. We focused a lot on Melbourne, but they have been super sharp. Essendon, as Cameron Ling just pointed out.
Boy, have they ever. There's Bagley.
So you got to like Carlisle, 200 centimetres Saw big Rory Thompson on the Gold Coast last week. He's 200 centimetres, young roughhead from the Bulldogs.
It's amazing that 200 centimetres will just buy you a key position defensive player these days.
Yeah.
Used to be the ruckman, didn't it? There's Fletcher. From half back, the Bomber players look at each other. Eventually had to go there, Melksham. And now Salah. Short Garland, in fact, a short ball. Watson to tidy up, gets a real clean look. Hooked it left.
Saw Gillies come off his man then and effect a spoil. And that was good. He trusted himself, and Mark Neal talked about that in his pre-match, about trusting yourself. He came off his man. And when you're not playing well, when you go into your shell, you don't come off your own man. You become insular and worry about your own form. That was great from Gillies.
Howe, a couple of bounces through half-back. Penetrating ball to an open paddock. Have Melbourne got the speed to run onto it? Poor ball. Mitch Clark trying to work it down there in the direction of Burns. Didn't quite work for them. And now again, big jump from Jack Viney. Been paid the mark. Somehow marked it between his legs.
It's just natural aggression, isn't it? He saw the footy there, and he drove his legs as hard into the back of Stanton as he could. And why not? It was there to be done. Take the mark and hurt your opposition. It's part of the game. Don't worry about Jack Viney. He'll do it every single time.
It's as hard as a cat's head, Jack Viney.
Dempsey, short ball.
How hard a cat's head?
It's pretty hard, really hard.
Not sure, how did they find out they were hard?
I don't know. Short ball comes in to Burns, the former Cat. Here's Sylvia, got on the bike and led nicely in front of Hooker. You've got to get the feeling he's a bit quick for him. 55 metres, lets it rip. Fletcher!
There's the Iron Man.
He is indeed.
Das got a touch-up from him during the week.
Goddard to Melksham, spearing ball. This man, Zaharakis, has knocked up getting the ball early on.
Bit of a contrast, though, isn't it? That was a great build-up from Melbourne. They had an opportunity. Should have been a one-on-one. Guess who gets across and is always going to be third man up, Dustin Fletcher. He's done it for 370 games nearly. Always make sure he helps his teammate out.
Well, you have to get a match-up on him, someone who knows how to draw the football and get into the right spots, because if you don't, he's played that long. If you go somewhere where you're not going to get it, he's not going to bother. He's just going to sift off and do that all day long.
11 touches already for Zaharakis, leading possession getter on the ground. Howlett now on the wing. So look at the Bombers creep forward here as they press and compress the ball into their forward half. They do it so well. Hurley the target, a little heavy for him, but they've got it where they want it.
That's what I'm really interested in tonight in watching Melbourne, as we see Jack Viney. There it is. Just pushed himself as hard as he could into Stanton, ended up taking a very strong mark. Fletcher's grab equally as impressive. How hard they transition run defensively, Melbourne. That would have been the other thing on the whiteboard for me.
Opportunity, Melksham again, little handball out the side. Stanton gets good purchase. He kicks the goal. 5 in a row for the Bombers.
Well, it's all too easy at the moment. 16 inside 50s to 5. And most of the Melbourne players were back inside defensive 50 then, but Stanton still was able to get the boot to ball.
A massive 30-point lead. Stanton loved his work, and why not? They're teaming together beautifully at the moment, the Bombers. Umpires tonight, Chris Cameron. This is Stuart Wen in the middle. Brendan Hosking. Heath Hocking. Gee, they've knocked up clearing the ball out of the middle. Done really well in that position. Charging through was Turlich, the first gamer. Gets himself a free. Sideways ball to Watts. Have a listen to the hum of the crowd. Got him in a position now. We're going to see Melbourne fight back. Are we going to see them show something, Rich? I'm sure that's what they're thinking right now.
Well, it's a real test now because 5 goals down early. Lingy said it before, when you've had a flogging the week before and you go down early by 5 goals, it's going to be a real mental battle now to get back.
Please. Messed it up as he tried to work to Matt Jones.
And no one's got an issue with that. I mean, skill areas when you're developing are not a problem. That's Chris Dawes. I'd love to see out there, of course, high prize recruit coming across from
Lyndon Dunn.
Lyndon Dunn, of course, as well. But what you can't accept with Melbourne is just meek efforts. You'd love to just see some more fight, some more aggression.
Yep.
Someone getting in the face. I'd love to see Jamar jump early and just see if he can smash in to Bell Chambers. Seeing Colin Sylvia is, you think, got a bit of strut about him, a bit of aggression. I haven't seen anyone at the moment who said, you know what, I can't guarantee it's going to be my night, but I'll make it really uncomfortable for the opposition. It seems a bit of the same.
On the ropes before the game. They're certainly on the ropes now. What have they got? How are they going to respond? Free kick, Bombers, last line.
Yeah, Carlisle just playing in front as the defender. Draws the free kick. Would have been a mark anyway.
Lee, you're closer to it at ground level. I don't know, we're being a bit over the top up here. It just seems as though there's a bit of an acceptance already that it might be a bit too hard again for the Demons tonight.
Well, Das, as I mentioned earlier, it's been beautifully done by the Bombers. They're the ones who've just given them no room, no opportunity to actually play their game. But you boys have been talking about it's a great test now. You can't allow things like that, just those easy ones straight up the middle. Brett stand and play on.
There's Slingy, Goddard through the middle, handball to Howard under real pressure. They messed that up. There's Cramery, took a couple on. Did he dispose of it? No.
Disposal, Melbourne.
Heard the umpire.
They got away with one there. They should never have been able to get that ball through the middle of the ground then, Essendon.
And Dust, as I was saying, they're the ones that you just don't want happening. I think young players, and that's great by the skipper there, to be able to go back with the flight and take a strong mark. I reckon that shows a lot of character. Well done.
That's exactly the sort of act that you hope inspires people around you. And you just see Grimes there, committed his body full on, and now we've got a little bit going on off the ball. And I know people will say this is easy and cheap and not the time, but perhaps you get something out of it as a group. You get a bit of fight. Don't give away a free kick, but make it uncomfortable for the opposition. Make it a real fight.
You'd love to see him go back and kick this. Now, he knew contact was coming then, Grimes, and put his body on the line.
Jack Grimes, about 50 metres out. 48, in fact, he'll kick it from. Journey's not a problem. It's all to do with accuracy, and that's the goal they needed. Jack Grimes does the work, the co-captain.
Let's just keep an eye on Grimes and just see how many players run across. We've got maybe 4 or 5 have got over and given a little high five, but most of the defenders have just stuck at their end of the ground and back. And that's what happens with confidence, isn't it, Richo?
You'd like to see every player get to him.
You could have got 15 over there. No one can stop you doing that and just get around and maybe get in the face of, I think it was Carl Hooker who was late on the mark. So they just got to get back to trusting themselves and generating their own enthusiasm. That's a brilliant act from a captain, a young skipper. Let's hope that it inspires a few of the others around him.
I love that one, Das. It's nothing cheap. It's not going around trying to belt blokes and trying to be a hero. It's going back with the flight, taking a strong mark, and then going back and kicking a goal. That's real leadership from Jack Grimes. Really, really well done.
How easy is this out of the middle? Myers turns on his preferred side. Hurley decided he'd wait down when he saw the big fella Ryder lurking out the back. Soccer off the ground, Melksham.
Bombers have got 3 players on the ground with double figures disposal. Zaharakis, Watson and Heppel, their engine room. Just getting their hands on the footy.
Howe, usual good job in the air. Time to dispose of this to exactly where he wants it. Salah got his man under the ball nicely, couldn't go on with it though. Free kick Fletcher, or is it Bagley? It's the latter. Bombers have switched everything they've got to the opposite side, the fat side of the ground, the non-crowded side of the ground.
They were able to, this last time they had the ball in this position, they were able to get it through the middle. You can't allow that. You've got to force them to kick it down the line here, which they have. It's good.
That's better. Zaharakis, the intended target. There is the quarter-time siren. So Mark Neeld has a lot to do. The Melbourne Football Club have a lot to do, but the Bombers would be wrapped with their start. And they lead it by 25 points. 6-2-38 Essendon. Melbourne 2-1-13.
These Bombers, they were very impressive in the first quarter. They'll be looking to kick on in this second quarter, Brian.
Cameron Ling down there on the boundary. Just about ready to start the second quarter. Bombers in control by 25.
Well, that man, Joe Watson, had 10 possessions. What a skipper. You get in and follow him because 8 of his possessions were contested. He does the hard work. And then once it got on the outside, the Bombers looked really good.
J-Mar. Bombers with yet another clearance. Absolutely mopping it up in there at will. Hurley, both hands on it. Ball forward. Here's Cramery. Cramery just did so well to kick that. Gee, that was really, really good play against Gillies.
It's Jack Viney coming from the field. Geez, you don't like to see that if you're a Melbourne supporter. Terrific last week. We'll go down to Doc Larkins.
There's an incident here. We just see Viney getting caught from behind and tripping down. He's hobbling off, favouring the right side. So just see again he gets caught in the leg tangle there. They're going to have a look at him on the bench now, Viney.
He's going to be an interesting player, Jack Viney. He might have to learn to curb his kamikaze approach. I know that sounds a ridiculous thing to say, but he broke his jaw in a VFL game one of the first times. Totally innocuous incident, nothing he could do about it. But he's so crazy with his attack on the footy that he might just have to drag it down a touch. I'm not sure there's many other players that play for Melbourne that you have to worry about that with just at the moment.
There's the last 10 centre breaks, and we see the last 4, in fact, have gone to the Bombers. If you give them first use and they go inside 50, they're going to score. It's one-on-one all over the ground, though. There's no loose men, so it's just simply Essendon getting to the ball first, like Dyson Heppel did then.
That's that new interpretation. You can't just jump on their backs in the tackle. Here's Myers. Hurley trying to keep it alive to Elwyn Davey. Garland almost flopped on it, and this will result in the ball up.
Bombers went to Michael Hurley 14 times in round 1 inside 50. It was the most that a side went to an inside 50 target for the round, and he's a great option because he just competes so hard. He never ever gets outmarked.
Watson, kick at goal. Good bounce, bad bounce. Cramery for his third.
Well done, Gillies. Got back and smothered it. You spotted what he does, Darcy. He leads that hard at the footy that he hits it that hard. It's going to fall exactly. It's predictable for his crumbing players inside that forward 50. They also had 13 goal kickers last week. The Bombers, pretty hard to defend when you got that many players across your team kicking goals.
Turlich, another one of those players with the beards, which Darce says aren't required.
Darce in the Stone Age there.
Don't need them, he says.
Happy with the beards, but you've just got to bring everything you've got to the table, I reckon. If you want to put a target on your head, Brian, that's all I'm saying. A bit like your moustache.
It's just a beard, Darce. People have hair, people have beards. People have arms.
When you're mucking around and you've got a beard-growing contest, Brian, and you're maybe not performing as a side the way you want, do you think you leave yourself open? Well, they're going beautiful at the moment. I just think when you put that target on your head, Richo, maybe I'm getting cranky at a young age.
Darce, you need to get some more sleep, I think.
Jones. Tackled by Hocking. Umpire lets it proceed. Umpire Chris Camelons. Get down to Doc Larkins on the boundary.
Yeah, Paddy Wright, you see coming off heavy strapping on the right calf before an instant. He got knocked again, Brian. So he's running better now, but he really struggled to get up about a minute ago. They're going to get him off and have a look at Ryder.
Powell. Heppel had a really good first quarter as well. Zaha Rakas was excellent. Bombers were really crisp in that first quarter. Here's Stanton. Looked like a 15-day break has given them some hunger to want to play, the Bombers.
Well, you wait all summer to play round 1, you've got to wait 15 days for your next game. They should be pretty keen.
Here's Myers. He also was very effective in that first quarter. Gives it to the man Heppel. Heppel to Elwyn Davey. Let's have a look at the speed here. Kick wasn't far enough in front. Turlich was able to punch it to the boundary.
Free kick, didn't keep that 1 metre away.
There's a new ruck rule.
I reckon he just forgot then, Bell Chambers.
I think he did. Got to start at least a metre apart. Haven't seen too many of them paid yet, which is a good thing.
That's the thing. He's been rucking all his life and it's used to one thing. So yeah, you can understand why he may forget. Players have got to suddenly adjust after doing something their whole career.
Shannon Burns. Now, a free kick will be paid here to Melbourne, too high. Says the umpire. Mitch Clark's the recipient against
Yeah, it was
Jakey
clearly
Carlisle.
hand over shoulder. Jakey Carlisle just a little clumsy. And I've loved the way Mitch Clark has approached his tenure at Melbourne before injuring his foot really badly last year. I think he really does bring to the table what you hoped he would, and he's desperate to get out there and play. Bad ankle injury last week. Great effort to get up again, and let's hope he stays sound and can play his best footy.
He's become a really reliable kick. I don't want to put mocker on him, but he's a great kick at goal these days.
And that one's very, very nice to back up. Your thoughts, Richo?
They were right on cue. From 50 metres, he split the middle, and he doesn't need a lot of opportunities because he is kicking the ball so well, and if they can get it to him, he gets 4 or 5 chances, he's going to kick goals. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities so far tonight, but he's ruckman size, as we were talking about before. A lot of guys 200 centimetres playing in key positions these days, and Mitch Clark, of course, played a lot of ruck up at Brisbane.
Here's a free kick, hand over the shoulder from Jake Carlisle. The umpire will pay that every time he sees it. And here's that nice kicking action, Richo, which was very effective.
Yeah, he's become a really good shot at goal. Mitch Clark played a lot in the ruck at Brisbane, but he's become really reliable. Actually, I'm not sure there wasn't much in that free kick to Carlisle, but technically it was there.
It was early, wasn't it?
I'm sure Steve Silvani and Mick Martin and guys like that, they got away with that pretty regularly.
Jeremy Howe playing a really good game here for the Demons at the moment. Kicks wide to Grimes, didn't get there. Dempsey supporting the run here is really impressive. Howlett's on the end of the chain.
Been slicing them open a bit on the rebound, Essendon, breaking the lines very easily. That kick from Stanton's a shocker.
Really interesting to watch now, boys. Jack Watts has gone to David Zaharakis. Zaharakis obviously having a huge impact in that first quarter. I'll be interested to see now if Jack Watts can play a role, actually play on a man, stop him, stop his influence on the game, and then start trying to get himself into the game from there.
Hey, Lee, I think that may well be the right role for him. We'll get back to this as Davies on the run.
He is now on his left foot.
Gee, that's a great kick.
It's beautiful. 52 metres out. Colin Sylvia wants to run and go. He does. Mitch Clark here. Carlisle did really well. Gee, that's like an old veteran the way he did that.
He's really developed a lot over the summer. Looked promising last year, but in the NAB Cup and last week against Adelaide, played on Tex Walker. He looks like he's been around a lot longer than he has, Jake Carlisle.
Bombers aiming to start the season 2-0 for the 45th time in their history, as they did last year.
Quick one from the doc. Is there any update or any sign of Jack Viney?
No, look, the doctor's come up. The physio's down there with his big strapping kit. So the right side getting strapped up, I expect, Arse. He should be up soon.
Big fly there. And look at the carnage on the ground behind as a result of that pack-crunching James Frawley attempt.
Well done, James Frawley, though. Submitted himself to the spoil. Well done, Michael Hurley. Put himself...
Doesn't that sum up our game of Australian rules football?
That's fantastic.
Fantastic slow-mo vision there.
What isn't fantastic?
Heppel around the corner, mark over the top, Garland.
Look at how easy Essendon are being allowed to kick the ball through the corridor. Can't allow that.
50-metre penalty here.
Just here, Owen. Come on, move, please. Come back on, kick him. Play on.
Handball off to Jones now. Jones, a driving ball. Melksham, Howe, he's just about marked everything that's come his way tonight.
Just talking about Jack Watts, and Lingy pointed out he's playing on David Zaharakis, who had 11 disposals in the first quarter, hasn't touched it since Jack went on to him. He is a 2.89 seconds over 20 metres, Jack Watts, for leg speed, which puts him in the top 1% in the game. With his speed, he's good enough and quick enough to go with the tools. It's almost a Dustin Fletcher role where he can use his height, play on a small, and then start taking marks. And I think that might be the perfect role for a young man who's just still finding his way in the game.
Stanton to Ryder. Gillies in front. Almost happy to find the boundary, but probably should have taken it over in the end. Jones will intercept this.
There's Jack Viney, who the doc mentioned was going to be back, and he still looks a bit sore. But what do you reckon, Doc?
Yeah, heavy strapping on the right ankle, I reckon, Darcy. He's moved and run reasonably freely on a mini fitness test, so they're going to put him out, I reckon.
You've got to put some time into Heppel. He's up to 14 and just getting the ball in space like that.
Davey Watson able to get around one, able to straighten and face the goal and kicks another.
Oh, what a great player he is. Absolute champion. Averaged 29 disposals last year and going into this year, Jobe Watson. And he's just become really reliable around goals too. He moves forward, and when he goes down there, he invariably ends up kicking goals. But he was able to get that opportunity because Dyson Heppel, who's up to 15 disposals and has a great left leg in him, is allowed to stand in the middle of the ground with no one near him.
Have a look at the tackle count there. 9-0 in this quarter. Melbourne, 10 minutes into this quarter, almost 11 minutes into the quarter, have not laid one tackle.
And Essendon have had 40 more disposals, so that's inexcusable, really.
Howlett, Heppel and Myers. Myers with a penetrating low left foot to Watson. And now Melbourne on the rebound, or are they? Tupis. Just got a bit of the old, I'm Dustin Fletcher, watch how I do it, young man. J. Marta Grimes. Heppel playing a wonderful game. Howlett, bit of a no-looker. Around the corner, long ball over the head of Belchambers. Here's Watson. Strong over the ball, gives it to Davey. Sold the dummy one way, comes back Zaharakis on his non-preferred left. Bent it beautifully. Touched on the line.
Just want to go down to Lingy. Just watching Dyson Heppel. He's up to 18 disposals now with not even halfway through the second quarter. Lingy, who's playing on him?
Well, you'd think no one right now, Richo, but I believe it's Jack Grimes, and I would say he's the man for the job. He's very disciplined with what he does, but just being given far too much space, especially through the middle of the ground. All he's really doing is floating through the corridor. Every time Essendon look up, they can use him through there, and he's cutting them apart. They either need Grimes to play a better role on him or make a move and get one of the other mids, maybe a Jack Trengove onto him.
Trengove's on the bench at the moment, had the 4 disposals, his first game, coming back from injuries, but just need to get a little bit more out of their senior type players. Shannon Burns has only had 3, Colin Sylvia has only had 5.
Watson.
Actually, Richo, really good point, the name you mentioned there, Colin Sylvia. Give him a run with roll. Jack Watts has got the job on Zaharakis, trying to use his man as a starting point to work on his game. Why not do it to Sylvia? We know he's got the talent. Give him a role, give him something to focus on, and let him play a role for the team.
140 games, Colin Sylvia. Has he got more to give, Richo, do you think? Are we still yet to see the best of Colin Sylvia?
Well, he's got great natural talent. He can kick goals. He's been capable of kicking 5 goals in a game. He can mark the football. He can go on ball. He can play up forward. So I don't think we're seeing the best out of his skills. No.
How about that kick from Brendan Goddard? He pointed out before the start of the game that they love him getting the footy forward of centre, and he needs to do that to fulfill his role. That's why he is a spectacular kick.
This is Jackson Merritt, come on a lot faster than they thought he would, the Bombers. He's a guy out of the Geelong Falcons footy factory down there, led by Mickey Turner. And he's really prepped this one to a tee. Merritt comes in, sprays it to the right. But the Bombers have been surprised by his quick development, Richo.
He was pretty good over in Adelaide up forward. He didn't do a lot, but laid a couple of good tackles, had a few shots on goal.
Saw Jack Viney back out there.
Oh boy, Jack Watts dropping a pud.
It's really threatening to, if it hasn't already broken open, this is crucial.
Gillies doesn't let him down. Now the transfer of play. They've got the loose player out if they can get it over the top. Frawley will look to get it to Tom McDonald. Can he keep going? No, the Bombers have done a great job locking players down forward of the ball here. So they're just going to have to play that present-up game. Here's one that's loose. Tumpus in the middle of the ground. He says, come on, someone come at me.
Yeah, good kick from young Tumpus.
Drengove. Quiet. This is a really good lead-up play here from the Demons. Nursing the ball forward.
Yeah, that was good. They used some angles. Put the Essendon defenders under a little bit of pressure. Came one way, then went back the other. Great decision by Tumpus.
Is that their style of play, Richo? Do you think that is what Mark Neild is trying to bring to the table? Is that possession, lead up, hit a target?
Well, I think that play was Viney.
Snap by Viney, misses.
I think that play we saw in the first quarter, they switched it and used the ball around the wing, going in into their forward line, about 6 or 7 kicks and marks in a row. I mean, I think that looked like something that they've been rehearsing quite a bit over the summer, but it's not definitive at the moment. You're not getting the hands on the footy. You can't really see what they're trying to do at the moment.
Watson believed he had a little hand in the back, and the umpire said no. Thumping ball, misses to the left-hand side by Garland.
Not easy to have a style of play when you haven't got the footy.
I mean, you need to get your hands on it first, get control of it, then set up how you want to play, and haven't been able to do that. You've got to win it at the coalface first, and when Mark Neild took over, I remember him talking, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be hard to play against, they wanted to be hard and tough, win it.
Right there, Jack. Thank you.
Dyson Heppel, a whopping 20 possessions already. We're only 16 minutes, second quarter. Jobe Watson with 17. And the best for Melbourne is Howe with 11.
That's where Brendan Goddard just adds so much already to this side, because he's another gun that they've got to worry about. It takes pressure off Jobe Watson, who's going to get the number 1 tag. And then you've got Heppel capable of having a 40 disposal game. It really just sharpens up this midfield group.
Myers. Well done by Turlich to just make him go back and kick over the mark. Now Myers goes for the lead of Watson, a little late arriving there. Nicely done by James Frawley. Really good. That kick, James Frawley in his first year wasn't a great kick, and he's learnt to just take that sideways kick 20 or 25 metres, doing what he can do. Fletcher to Stanton. Look at the Bombers lining up in the pocket here. Cremery got hold of it, but there were 3 of them.
Melbourne seem to have gone into a real zone pattern here. In the first quarter, they looked more prepared to take them on one-on-one, and I think Mark Neild's just said, all right, we are not going to get smashed here tonight. We're going to make sure that they're... And you can see all the numbers back on that shot. There was 4 or 5 back behind the footy. I reckon they really have zoned up.
Perfect sign for Cremery's left. Off a couple of steps, just nurses it through. Bombers get their third of the quarter.
Interesting to get a second look at that in a minute, but it really seems like a change of tactic at the moment.
When that ball came outside 50 and Dustin Fletcher kicked, the Melbourne players had a lot of time to see that ball hanging in the air. You could see that Fletcher was going to be able to spoil it, yet there were still 3 Essendon players standing free inside 50. You've got to be quicker to think to get back on your men than that. That was going to a 50-50 ball. You see this ball here, it went to what in the end became a 50-50 with Dustin Fletcher and Seller, and there's 4 Melbourne players all guarding the corridor. Essendon players out on their own in the pocket. You have to be quicker to transition back onto your man there. Melbourne were never going to win the footy in that aerial contest.
Brilliant tap by Ryder. Used his leverage magnificently on Jamar then. Here's Goddard. And he's getting forward of that centre, Lingy. Kind of come to you for a comment on that at the moment as he finds an opportunity here with young Merritt again. But that's what you want him to do, Lingy.
Exactly right, BT. He's just so damaging. He's kicked a goal and he's used the ball. He's got really dangerous inside 50 entries, set up a number of goals. Beautiful kick of the ball. The Bombers will be on his back all year, I reckon. Occasionally, he might drift back into his old habits, but they want him getting the ball in the forward half of the ground, doing exactly what he's doing tonight.
Merritt yet to kick a goal in league footy. Here he is, 25 metres out. Comes in, threads the needle. His first goal in footy.
Oh, he's your man, BT. Down at Mick Turner's factory, as she just told us, the Geelong Falcons. He's looked good.
He has.
Had to sit under that high ball for a little while there. He did get a little bit of assistance with it, a Shepherd, but kept his head up, took a nice mark, went back and kicked the goal. Has he always been a forward, BT, or develop into on ball?
I'm not sure of the position he's played, Richo.
Love this aggression from Paddy Ryder. Look at that, the centre bounce. That is absolutely perfect ruck work. And I reckon your midfielders around you get a real lift when they see that type of knee in aggression. Let's see if it happens again right here now.
Doc Larkins.
Yeah, Goddard limped off. Lingy was just praising him, and he's sitting on the bench now. Got he's just come off complaining of pain in the left foot. They got the boot and the sock off, and he limped off, favouring it noticeably, BT.
Biggest margin of the game, 45 points right now. And we've got still plenty of time, 7 minutes until half time. Little kick here by Matt Jones, finds Sylvia on the lead.
Yeah, nice kick then, waited that.
There is Goddard, I think it's
That's his goal, yeah, perfect.
being checked down there. Doc, just with you for a moment.
Yeah, the outside of the left foot, they're looking at his metatarsal bones. Whether he got stomped on, Brian, or whatever, it's not the ankle, it's halfway down the foot, and he couldn't put weight through it after that kick leading to the goal.
Bruce Reid there with him. Here's Sylvia, gets a good look from the angle. Distance shouldn't be a problem for him. That one's on line, but drifting a little bit right at the end.
There's Cole Sylvia. Sorry, Darcy, the man we were just talking about. Does look a natural type forward at times, leads into the ball well, but just haven't seen enough of it. Only their second mark inside 50, Melbourne.
Hibbert, one of those players you don't really notice in the Bomber lineup, but he does such a terrific job. Stanton around the corner. That's meant for Dempsey. It was a little short. Dempsey made it look better than it was. Allen out the side to Zaharakis. Melks him a bit of a fiddle and a faddle and a fumble over the top of it. And now Mitch Clark has to take him on. Got the handball through to Aaron Davey. What can we see? He is left footer, remember. Little kick around the corner. It was nice. Carlisle and Sylvia gave away the free, Sylvia.
That's another goal save to Dustin Fletcher. It's probably about the 2000s one that he's done over his 370 games, which he just knows exactly where to go, and he left his man and just charged at Mitch Clark and saved a certain goal, I reckon.
Well, he left Davey and he trusted himself to get over and make an impact on that contest and saved the goal.
Right at a Crammery.
You would trust yourself after playing for 20 years, though, wouldn't you? You'd hope to think you knew what you were doing out there.
20 years and 3 days. Richo, 367 games, outright 6th place for games played. Craig Bradley is the next target on 375 games.
He's a freak, though. He looks exactly the same as he did when he was 17 years of age. He's still got the same pace. He's just doing it better and better as every year goes on.
Zaharakis again, another entry inside. Really good mark. Really solid mark taken by Jeremy Howe.
I don't think he trains too much now, Dusty. He knows, just gets himself up for the games.
So his dad, famous Bomber player himself, Ken, said he'll go again next year. I wonder whether Dad has actually asked his son.
Well, why wouldn't he? He doesn't look... He's playing as well as ever.
And I see the coach, James Hurd, I think, said that he looks as good as ever and can go on indefinitely.
Yeah, it's one of the great contrasts. And as you get older, you understand your body better, you understand the game better, you're a better leader, but your body normally lets you down. He's got the double benefit is that he's not having any issues with leg speed or ability to play the game.
How does Goddard look, Lingy? Just walk past you there?
Yeah, walking okay, walking past there. He's definitely testing out the foot. Doc's right on the money. He's a little bit limpy, but he's jogging now. He's keen to get back out there. I think he's standing on the bench making sure Hurdy can see him.
Davey with a dribble along the ground. That'll work. That's brilliant. One of the best goals we've seen for the year. And Aaron Davey has kicked his second goal of the night, and that one was very much deliberate.
Yeah, well, there's Dustin Fletcher. He's playing on Davey. He went back to try and help Mitch Clark out. Lost contact with Davey, and he stayed at the front of the contest and did really well there. So Fletcher trying to do the right thing, didn't have a real impact, and Davey punished him with a goal, and a really good one.
Did it used to be watching Melbourne play when he was right up and running, chasing down from behind and laying 5 or 6 tackles inside forward 50, kicking a freak goal. You just sometimes need a bit of a spark, and perhaps there's a little positive sign there tonight. 2 goals for Aaron Davey.
Dr. Peter Larkins.
Clark has also just limped off with the Melbourne doctor sitting down on the bench, coming back from that bad ankle last week, Brian.
Classic clearance out of the middle there to Hurley. Hurley goes around the corner. That was beautiful centre clearance play by Watson. Bell Chambers dribbles it through for a goal. Got his 3rd. Jobe Watson, what a start.
Big Tommy Bell Chambers finished it off like a rover. His recovery back onto that ball was beautiful. Started in the middle again. Too easy out of the centre. Getting smashed in the clearances. Jobe Watson laced it out to Hurley. Played on immediately to Bell Chambers. That was textbook play. Got to be more pressure out of the middle, though. If you give Watson a chance to stream through like that, he's going to use the ball.
If you ever wanted textbook centre clearances, have a look at that one. Rider down to Watson is beautiful. Hits Hurley up, swings round on the left and goes in quick. Once you get the ball in that quickly into your forward line, it's nearly a goal every time. Beautiful play, the Bombers.
It was great. Watson has had 8 clearances. The entire Melbourne team have had just 13.
Das, you're a ruckman. That's not easy what Paddy Ryder did then, is it?
It's not easy, but it's been helped a lot by Mark Jamar at the moment. He has got to get a plan B. He's just cannon fodder in there as Bell Chambers takes another big contested mark, standing tall and strong. But
what would you do? What would
you've got to change your angle. He's coming from the same spot. Ryder's jumping over his head. Why not start from the other side of the ground? That's where Mark Jamar likes to run from, but Paddy Ryder's doing that every single time. Go and stand on the other side of the circle.
See, Ryder can jump earlier because he's got more spring.
You've got to do something different. You can't keep doing the same thing if you're getting smashed in there, and that's what's happening.
Bell Chambers for his 4th goal to make it an even 50-point lead for the Bombers.
Funny things happen when you lose your confidence, because Mark Jamar was an All-Australian ruckman a couple of years ago, and he turned himself from an average player, without being unfair, to an All-Australian player because he just wanted it more and he tried harder. Well, I think when you get under stress, you go back to the same thing every time, and he's going to come and do the same thing again, and I can't understand it. You've got to have an understanding when things aren't going your way. So
Bell Chambers, a career-high 4 goals, Richo.
Yeah, well, he's spending plenty of time forward because, as Darcy just been describing, Ryder's having a purple patch.
Can't believe Mark Jamar is coming from the same angle again. Look at him setting himself up for Ryder to get his hand up. Lucky Jones has roved that one, but...
And the Bronxies go up for a clearance and down the throat of Jack. The beard, 40 metres out.
That's well done by Jones, though, isn't it? He knows that he had to read Ryder then, not his own ruckman.
Yep, he had an understanding what was going to happen, but I think everyone on the ground knows what's going to happen. Ryder is jumping early. He's jumping into the side of big Mark Jamar, and he just has to change his tact.
Jack Watts. Distance is really going to test him. Almost a 50-metre kick here for Watts. We've seen a few kick from this angle. You need to aim middle of the goals here. You can't give it away to the right. And that's a little left to right. Hit the post.
See, players make 50 metres easy now, don't they? Look, it used to be a pretty tough distance. Kicks seem to kick the ball longer as well. Everything's better now.
Good to see BJ Goddard back out there. Had some issues with his foot.
Nurse that to Bagley.
They should not get out of this, Essendon. Melbourne have set up pretty well.
See if they can. Bagley, 49-point lead with the Bombers here at the moment. Bearing down on half-time.
Well, BT, let me ask you the question. Not trying to hype this into something that it's not, but Melbourne got smashed last week. Huge amount of pressure and spotlight and focus on. They're down by 50 points at half-time. Is this a fair performance? Are they just being outclassed, or is it exacerbated now on the back of what you've seen this half?
To me, it looks slightly better than last week, even though the margin may well at the end of the game end up being a lot more. It just looks like there's a little bit more effort. Still not good enough. Let's face it, Melbourne just aren't good enough to beat the good teams, are they? They're just not good enough to beat the really good teams. This one's not over by any means, 50 points or 49 points, but you do get the feel there's just a little bit more effort in the Melbourne players tonight, even though it hasn't been good enough. Hurley. And Mark Neeld must be wondering, what can he do?
Well, he would have wondered then, because when that ball went inside 50, it's their 11th mark. You see Crameri putting it in here. There are actually 3 Melbourne players and 1 Essendon player. There you see. He should not have been able to mark that ball.
What about the key defenders? McDonald, Gillies and Frawley. They got the right matchups there.
Well, McDonald was right on Hurley then.
Here is Hurley. Comes in, kicks the goal. 55-point Essendon lead.
I think I think what happens when you're out of form and you're not playing well is there were 3 Melbourne players around there, but you second guess and you hesitate. And if you hesitate for a split second, you don't get there in time. And if you don't hesitate, one of those other 2 Melbourne players would have been able to impact that contest and help McDonald out. Hurley wouldn't have marked the football.
Doc, Peter Larkins.
Colin Garland is down the race. Another defender down for the Demons, Brian. Right knee troubles. He couldn't put weight through it. They've taken the strapping down to try and get him right, Garland.
BT, I disagree with you. I think that there's an old coach that I played under just said 100-point losses absolutely ruin the fabric of footy clubs, and the scoreboard does count. And at the moment, they're on track for a 100-point loss, and they have to arrest the scoreboard in the second half, because it ruins the whole soul of football clubs when you get belted.
But you're asking me what I think right now, and right now I think they've given a little bit more than they did last week.
Well, that worries me, given they're down
Back here, Melbourne.
by 55 points.
But they're probably playing a better side than they played last week, Das.
There's no instinct in their play at all at the moment. They're second guessing themselves.
Play on.
And you can't play like that. This game's too hard if you're second guessing.
Davey over the back, put Bagley under the ball around the corner. Here's Fletcher and attacked it, but misread the bounce of it. Really well done by Hibberd. And that was out of bounds. There's the half-time siren. So a massive 55-point lead here at half-time to the Bombers. And what now for the Demons? The second half may well end up being 100 points, as Das mentioned. And where would that leave them? At half-time here, see the Bombers 13-6-84. Leading Melbourne 4-5-29.
It's almost more intrigue for me sitting here now at half-time and looking at this side and looking at this group of young men and just seeing what they can give for their supporters, for their coach. Can't wait to see the half-time.
Pretty relaxed. Start of the third quarter.
Play on. Play on.
Paddy Ryder, he's having some sort of night with his centre clearance work. Again, got up there. Jack Watts has started forward as well.
In combination with Watson there, Richo.
Yeah. Watson's up to 8 clearances in a half of football. That's pretty high for one half of footy.
Gee, Gillies has been beaten handsomely tonight, and that is really sloppy, and
that's
Melbourne are very stagnant.
A lot of players pointing and looking at each other, but that's unexcusable. You cannot have Hurley with the ball 48 metres out and Crameri, the other key forward, standing on his own 15 metres in front of him.
For his 4th goal, Crameri kicks it straight through the middle.
Well, interesting to see that it was James Teller who started the second half in the ruck for Melbourne, and he has been used as a stepladder as well by Paddy Ryder, and there's a bit of discussion going on down there, but you can just see the looks of resignation on Melbourne faces at the moment. And there is not a lot of cohesion on this ground at the moment if you are a Melbourne player.
Well, if you have a look at this here, Gillies is doing the right thing. He's manning the mark, but that's his opponent marking the football, and there's 3 other players just standing there with their backs turned. Like, there's no communication at all down there. Gillies gets burnt there.
So a game-high 61-point margin here right now, and very much in danger of entering the dreaded 100-point margin here if this game continues to go the way that it is. And that would be a disaster for the Melbourne Footy Club. Bagley hit the ground, said the umpire. You heard him. Made the call early. As Jeremy Howard tried to claim it. Let's have a listen.
Melbourne free. Nathan, yours.
Hit the ground, he said.
Jamie.
There are the Fremantle boys. Of course, they had a comprehensive win today, and Essendon play Fremantle next Friday night at Patterson Stadium.
Nice new glasses. Kirky's working there over at the Fremantle Dockers, and one of the great leaders in AFL history is Brett Kirk. Good to see him back at Clubland with the Fremantle Dockers. They are flying at the moment.
Nathan Jones at the city end nails the goal for Melbourne. They claw back one.
He's had Heath hocking on him for most of that first half. Nathan Jones, the #1 stopper in the Essendon midfield. He's had 11 disposals. Probably the only one of their recognised midfield group who's had double figures. So he's trying his hardest. Just not getting a lot of support at the moment.
He was one of their best last week as well, Richo.
Yeah, he was. Gets the tag every week.
So we're going to change a forward setup for the Demons in the second half. Mark Jamar's going to play deep in the goal square. Jack Watts, who started in defence, he's going to play deep forward. That's Sam Blease there, the triangle formation. So Mark Newell is throwing the side around a little bit.
Here's Jones. Need a couple of these. Need a couple of clearances. That's a high tackle on Garland.
Right up, Paddy.
By Ryder. Garland goes long and deep to those tall targets that Darsh just spoke about. Jamar got both hands on it. Couldn't quite complete it. There's Blease, the other one that was mentioned. And now the wrap-up tackle. Ball eventually spills loose. Sylvia trying to charge out of the pack with brute force.
You're trying to come through, mate, but you had one arm pinned.
Good explanation there from the umpire to Colin Sylvia. Hurley. McDonald got a hand on it. First to recover, Hurley got an inside runner in Melksham. They queue up for his ball. I'm not sure that was the right option in the end. Could have gone longer and wider and found space then.
Yeah, Stanton was running through the centre unopposed. The handball just hung in the air too long and he had to stop and wait. So Colin Sylvia matched up on Joe Watson there now.
Look at those tackles for Melbourne. 6 in this quarter, as many as they had in the total second quarter, and we've only played 4 minutes. So you wonder whether they might have got a bit of a rocket about that at half-time.
Yeah. That was good by Jones then. Attacked the footy at ground level really hard. He's trying to set an example.
Stanton, the give and go from Myers. Had to go back. Here's Myers on his non-preferred foot. High ball, Cranmery's lurking over the back.
Oh, gee.
Hands on it, Cheek got up high there. Howe picked up magnificently, but a young man Merritt marked right on the line by Frawley.
That's a good mark by Frawley. Bellchambers tried to throw him off in a test of strength, but stood his ground, James Frawley.
Howe's kicked it out of bounds on the full. Dempsey. Ball to Watson. In comes.
Every week he gets
Sylvia.
up, doesn't he?
Tweet here from Andy Walsh. I like Neil's speech, very trusting in his players. Disappointing that a few players weren't looking at him, says one tweeter. Howe to Shannon Burns. Wide, beautiful kick to Watts. Had it in the hands, dropped it off at the end. Blease will use his speed. Bagley there with him. Did some really good body work for a young man. Jamar dropped a real easy one. Now Goddard can tidy this up. Got some players behind the ball here. Now they find those. Myers can go into Howlett. Howlett's away, tucks it. Got another running supporter in Zaharakis. A little inching kick forward. Heppel gets back with courage. Good shepherd from Hurley too.
Poor old Mark Jamar out there on centre wing. He's just having one of those nights that you want to forget. Not going his way at all. Drop chest mark, and once again on the turnover. This would be the video I'd be wanting to watch really closely, is what happens when the footy's turned over. Yeah. How hard
the transition.
Melbourne players are prepared to work back to support their mates. We've all had nights like it. Mark Jamar has still got time to find something, and he needs to do it for his team and for his club.
9 goals, 1 from set shots tonight. The Bombers. Heppel's ball falling a little short.
Brendan Favola at home watching tonight. He sent us a tweet in, says the D's are in some trouble. Could get ugly, will get ugly.
He's up in Yarrawonga, I reckon, Fev, to play tomorrow.
Kelly spinning out of trouble. Got a wonderful team, Yarrawonga. A lot of big names there. Kane Pettifer play for that club.
Kane Pettifer, former Richmond player. Brad Ottens is playing up there this year as well.
Stanton, top of the square. Dangerous spot here for Melbourne to defend. Over the back, Goddard squeezed a little handball. Got it to Cranmery. He kicks his 5th goal.
Well, it's a little bit too easy. When a high ball goes inside forward 50, you've got to kill the footy. Melbourne players all went up together and No one made real contact on it, and Crameri gets out the back, kicks a very easy goal. You cannot let the ball get out the back. It's a cardinal sin as a defender, and that's too easy. So you see the high ball coming here, and McDonald and Howe, everyone went up but had no impact on the football. And if you're going to go up, you have to try and at least keep the footy in front. It can never get behind, and Crameri, it's a pretty easy goal for him.
Good way to win new friends, to give the handball off there from Brennan Goddard. That's the second time that Crameri has kicked a bag of 5 goals, last year against the Blues as well. So 62 points, game high margin right now for Essendon. Only 8 minutes played in this third quarter.
He's rolled himself forward trying to pinch the free.
Darcy, you mentioned the defensive transition before. What I'm just noticing from Melbourne is they're making decisions to defend and try and find their men when the turnover happens. Instead, it's AFL football. The ball moves too fast. You need to have already found your man and set up defensively well before the turnover happens. Just preempt a bad kick or a bad decision by your teammate. Get yourself set up well, and you don't have to do that chasing running that Melbourne is doing this game.
Ryder, big bomb. No Essendon player under this, though.
Lingy, does that rely on someone who's behind the footy, organising everything in front of them?
Yeah, you'd hope that you'd have a bit of help, and Hooker taking a nice grab there, but a bit of help and a bit of talk amongst each other to get your defence set up well. And I'm talking about your full ground defence.
Yeah.
And that way you're not chasing Essendon players all over the ground.
You need someone behind you who can see what's happening and what's unfolding, directing traffic.
Absolutely, Richo.
Knocks him to Dempsey. And Dempsey looking for the final touch on this to Hurley. And Frawley, the ever-reliable defender.
So I guess that's what the Bombers have. Fletcher's always that last man, and he sees everything in front of him and organises it how he needs it. Scarlett obviously did it for years down at Geelong.
Stanton, look how easy this is. Hurley. Salah went and got it. Under pressure every possession, Melbourne. Here's Gillies. Get out of the way, says Matt Jones, but he couldn't take it either. There's Turlich, the first gamer, got rid of it in the nick of time. Bit of a no-looker there. Found Frawley. Composure by Frawley to kick along the boundary and find Jamar. Burns, Jamar and Gillies. They are going nowhere fast here. Look at the Bomber player swarm. Howlett's eyes light up as he pumps it to the punt road end.
It's getting ugly here at the G. And there's some passages of play that are very forgettable at the moment. There's a huge part of me that feels for Melbourne. We've all played in sides that have got thrashed before. It's an awful feeling. No one likes seeing it happen, but what's unfolding before our eyes tonight is just a side that is just totally devoid of any confidence at all.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, what do the Melbourne Football Club do now?
It's hard to watch, BT. I find it really, you know, it's galling almost to see a side that have got zero confidence in themselves at all at the moment. There's no trust. All I can see out there is self-preservation. Melbourne players, you can see it in their eyes. They think, let's just hope my man doesn't get the footy at the moment. And when that happens, carnage as Essendon just stroll through again.
Hurley! Off hands Davey, goal! A whopping 74-point margin.
Well, there's the perfect Crummers goal from Alan Davey. That's just textbook. 15 metres out, straight in front. Your big forward gives you a contest, doesn't mark it, brings it to the front. Davey kicks the goal, but there's no pressure on the ball carrier, and they're able to deliver it how they like going forward. And it really is. It's getting really ordinary now.
Just the body language around the ground at the moment for Melbourne. You can just see there's just looks of despair. There's no talk at all. You can't see anyone's mouth moving. You can't see any instruction. The shoulders slump. Mark Newell's shifting in his chair. This is turning into a really poor, disappointing performance.
7 of the last 8 goals here, the Bombers at the moment. Hibberd very close to the boundary line. They keep it alive. Melksham inside. Watson wants to give it back to him. Got to go, though. Tried to bang his way through Viney. Blees arrived to assist. Still 12 minutes left in this third quarter, and there's 74 down. There's a chance that it may well be nearly 100 by the end of it. Here's Watts. Punch away. Melksham. The handball now. There's very little pressure coming for the Bombers. This is danger, danger, danger here for the Demons. We know it's already out of hand, but boy, oh boy, the Melbourne story gets bigger. Bell Chambers to Myers.
James Hird would be absolutely loving what the Bombers have done in this third quarter. They had the game won at halftime already, but they've come out very hungry. Spearing
Ball by Zaharakis to Crammer. He missed the target. Jones. Steady to Frawley.
Now you look at this here now. They've got the ball at half-back. There's just no run at all, and that is confidence. You're too worried to run off, leave your man and create, and that causes you to have no uncontested possessions. That is minus 73 in the uncontested possessions, and that means you're just not running to space because you've lost all confidence to do so. You have to win the footy around the contest first and then run, but there's no transition because you go into your shell.
Look at the space here. We've got He's got as much time as you've ever seen anyone on a footy field.
Goes for the smallest forward, Elwyn Davey, which is a little unusual in itself when they had the big 3 lined up at the back.
You hate to say it, but this game at the moment looks like an intra-club practice game where you've got the A team versus the B team, and the A team doesn't really want to hurt the B team, but they're so much better, they just keep scoring goals.
The possibles against the probables.
It's exactly what it looks like, Brian.
Little ball around the corner. Here's Stanton. On the lead, Hurley. Really, really easy. And look at the Melbourne fans. They don't know what to believe of this game here tonight. They are stunned.
BT, there were 8 Melbourne players living back inside their defensive 50 then to 4 Essendon, and Essendon was still able to get 2 marks inside forward 50. It's all good trying to zone back. They've actually got to pick up a man.
Hurley with a real difficult angle to work with, needs to bend it left to right. Got it to the back of the post, but not enough. Just kicked the 1 tonight, Michael Hurley, but has been very impressive. Frawley goes long in the Jamar direction. Hibberd takes a really nice mark. That one's deep. Elwyn Davey, the player closest to this, he's probably not the one they should be going in the air.
Speaking to a few Melbourne people during the week, they were stunned with round. They didn't see it coming at all. They thought their summer was fantastic. They felt like their pre-season form was better than okay, that they trained really well. They were expecting to come out against Port Adelaide and win that game. They got absolutely pummeled, and what's happened tonight is just a snowballing effect from there. It seems to have just shot their confidence to pieces, and there's not anyone on the ground at the moment you're looking at from Melbourne going, he's the one that will do something about it. There just isn't a leader out there that you can look to.
It's hard to know what you can do now, is to find an answer for this.
It's going to be a long, long 40 minutes to the finish of this game for the Demons if they don't start to sparkle. Here's Trengove. Heppel pursuing. Davey needs support. Found it in Matt Jones, but it was very late. Elwyn Davey with a nice smother, recovers. Back inside to Hurley. Very unselfish. Could have gone himself. Watson now around. Bit of an underground handball. Got it to the young man, Merritt. Merritt snap at goal. He likes it. Well done, young man.
That was an underground handball from Joe Watson. He's doing it all at the moment. The old bounce pass, BT.
When you do those at training and you ask them to do it, they say, why are we doing this for? And there you go. Exactly why you're doing it.
And that was the only way he could get the handball there. Geez, a creative player to be able to to do that, Jobe Watson. Had another huge night, 25 disposals, 9 clearances.
Cameron Ling on the bench.
Yes, BT, you can see that man right there. Jack Watts has been the man who subbed off the ground. David Roden subbed on. He was a late replacement for Geordie McKenzie before the game, but Jack Watts subbed off of what could only be described as another shocker.
Simon, is there a statement in that sub, or is that a normal sub, Lingy?
Oh, I don't think that's a normal sub, BT.
There's Stanton, a little driller. What about you, Darcy Richo?
Oh, that's a statement.
Yeah, it's definitely a statement. I mean, Jack's been playing forward this quarter, and the one opportunity he did have out on the wing, the ball bounced 10 metres in front of him.
82 points. And we've still got 8 minutes to three-quarter time. Oh, no. Ran over the top of it, Garland.
I will jump to Jack Watts' defence a tiny bit, BT, and say that he's not the only one out there who hasn't been doing the job. I know he's sometimes the whipping boy because he's the #1 draft pick, and the announcement's just coming over the ground now that he's been subbed off and he's got the Bronx cheer, but there's a lot of others who haven't done well either.
He's got plenty of friends, Lingy. Don't worry about that. He could start going right through the lineup and explore the other way. Try and find someone who you think has earned their pay tonight.
Just check with the doc first before we really go to town, because, Doc, is there a reason why he may be subbed out?
I don't have an answer, Brian, but I can tell you the doctor from the Demons was out to him twice since half-time checking on something, and they were just letting him on the ground, but he definitely was being checked medically before he was subbed.
Please. There's Melksham. Jackie Carlisle, and they do it so effortlessly. Howlett. Look at the handballs, just no pressure on any of the possessions. Heath Hocking presents up. It's a whopping 83 points, Richo.
There's a lot of players just guarding space at the moment. Maybe you just got to strip it back to saying you're just responsible for one man. And when they come off, you come off, and then just stick with them for the rest of the night, because there's no answers here. It just looks...
Myers is knocked up getting it tonight.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Richo. I
don't know what else you can do.
No, I think that's it, because at least then you can maybe look at the last quarter and 6.5 minutes and say, all right, I can line up every player on the list and I can see who at least worked hard and who actually ran hard.
Ran into a little bit of trouble there. Nicholson got out of it nicely in the end. Nate Jones sends the handball forward to Salah. Very, very wide indeed. Jones again gets a little bit of time to look forward. And was that a push in the back by Salah? I think it was.
Hands in the back.
Boys, just really quickly, David Zaharakis subbed off for the Bombers. Nick Comer on the ground.
There is Comer.
He was pretty impressive. Nick Comer in his first game Friday night 2 weeks ago against Adelaide Crows.
And Lingy, they'd be happy to get three-quarters into Zaharakis too, I imagine.
Absolutely, BT. So important for the Bombers. He gives them that outside run and great ball use. They've got a bit of game time into him last round against the Crows, and three-quarters tonight. He'll be flying in another week or two.
There he is, just on as the activated sub, Comer. Myers sweeping left foot. Watson's got really good body position here. There's no way he couldn't mark that. We knew he had the strength. And that Melbourne supporter says, that is enough for me. I'm not going to bother with the three-quarter time hot dog.
Yeah,
I'm going home.
We're just saying the same things over and over again, but the modern AFL football, if you can run through 60 metres with no pressure on and put the ball to advantage of a forward, that was a perfectly weighted kick to the advantage of Watson behind. He knew exactly what he was doing with that kick.
For an 89-point lead, Watson from point-blank range. Bombers by 89 in the third.
Chris Dawes looking on. He's come across to Melbourne from Collingwood. Used to play in grand finals. Chris Dawes, that seems like a decade away at the moment at Melbourne. And he'll be sitting back thinking he's injured. He's got another 3 weeks, I think, Richo, before he's back out in the field.
Got a hamstring issue.
89 points it is here at the moment. The Bombers' biggest win ever over the Demons. Back in 1986, 122 points is not out of the question.
I think it'll come down for mine just to how hungry and how ruthless Essendon are. I don't think there's much else to give from a Melbourne point of view. If Essendon really put the foot down, 122 points is well and truly within their reach.
Here's Dempsey. Oh, beautiful kick to Stanton. He can keep running here. He can have a ping from 50. Instead, he goes to the top of the square with a ripping kick to Cramery. And Cramery is going to line up, I think, for a career-high 6 goals.
Yep. And he'll go back and he'll slot through number 6. What a gift this is for Essendon. Second game of the season. They get game time into their players. They get confidence into their players. They certainly won't be bruised out of it either.
Cramery kicks his 6th for a 6th consecutive goal to the Bombers.
Well, he'd be starting to think of a little bag of 8 or 9. Stewie Cramery to play. Still think like that, Brian? They used to.
I think they do. Look, I said 10 minutes ago it may well be 100 points at the end of this quarter. I'm not sure I actually believed what I was saying, but it's all of a sudden 95.
Yeah. No, he's definitely starting to think about 9 or 10, I reckon. Hey, Lingy, Dyson Heppel only the 3 possessions this quarter. Has Jack Trengrove done the job on him?
Yeah, absolutely, Richo. Really good job by Trengrove. He certainly hasn't had his best game as far as his possessions go, but good on him at half-time. He got set a task. Heppel was on fire, and he has kept him to the 3 touches. And considering Essendon have been dominating, that's a really good job by Trengrove.
7 goals for this quarter, the Bombers, to 1 straight goal, the Demons. It's Cramery. McDonald just went in with the hands and not the body. Davey has a ping that would have put him over 100 in front. Instead, it's 96.
Saw a lot of Essendon last year. We did on Saturday night footy, and prior to all the hamstring injuries in round 10, they were a very formidable force. There's Jack Trengrove, the Melbourne skipper, opposed to Dyson Heppel. A great balance to their side, and I'm still very, very excited and bullish about where Essendon's future is heading. With Cramery, Hurley as their key targets forward. There's the inside 50s, Richo, for the quarter. What was the number?
19 to 3, so it's a spanking. 57 to 20 for the match.
57 to 20.
20 is extremely low. I'm not sure what the world record is there. Josh, our stats man, will know that, but gee, that's not many.
Time in forward half, 70 to 30%.
There's that one positive for the quarter, though. But good job on Heppel. At least they've been able to shut him out a little bit.
Free kick going the way of the Demons here.
And on the back of your point, Richo, why not do that in the last quarter? Trengrove go to Heppel, send Colin Sylvia to Watson, get all one-on-one matchups, and let each player try and take a scalp in the last quarter and at least salvage something out of this game.
David Roden there, who's the sub that's been activated, got a reprieve in the side after Mackenzie was a late withdrawal. Strange they've dropped someone like Roden after 1 game.
That's what I'm struggling to understand with Melbourne at the moment is what their philosophy is, what they're trying to achieve. You recruit seasoned players, and Roden was far from their worst player last week. Surely you then stick with it for a period of time and you give that a go. It was a hard decision to understand.
Almost threw it there to Hibbard. Hibbard goes long and deep once again. Davies the target in the air. They've done that 4 times this quarter, and he's not the one they should be going to high.
Yeah, Watson was floating in next to Davey. He was more of the option, just didn't see the skipper out of the corner of the eye there.
Intriguing, the Roden thing, Das, I agree.
Yeah. The players that Melbourne let go were replaced with senior players from other clubs that were discarded. So just not sure of the philosophy there.
Jeremy Howe! Or was it Burns? It was Burns, in fact. Looked like Howe lining him up then. Jumped like Howe. But it was Shannon Burns.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, son.
Nice little jump. That's an easy mark by Jeremy Howe's standards. Shannon Burns found it a little more difficult to hold on.
Hey.
James Frawley, so 96 points. We've got 1:45 remaining in the quarter.
This is Benny Howlett, who kicked 4 goals in round 1. Had a great game as a midfielder. Hasn't had the same impact tonight, but they've got a much more dangerous midfield for mine at the moment, Richo.
Got maximum votes in the Coaches Association round one, Benny Howlett. That's how well the coaches viewed his game in Adelaide in round one.
Did you see the little Garland fend off of Fletcher then? It was very soft. Watson's marked the ball directly in front. Love to go back and see how dainty that Shepherd was, because that typifies their play.
How exciting to have Joe Watson rest in the goal square, and as James Frawley just gets so hard when your confidence is shot to pieces, so hard to chase and compete.
Yeah, just that was... And Turlick there, he just sort of watched Watson mark that. He was worried about his own man in Davey. Could have actually affected the marking contest, but that's what happens when you lose confidence. You just sort of worry about your own man.
To equal his career high. He's kicked 3 goals in 3 previous games, but more importantly, to make it a 102-point margin.
Let's have a look at the Demon fans there. This is just very painful to watch, and they are stunned at the moment. They're going to see it through. The young kids have got their heads bowed, and it is hard to watch. It really is. It's not enjoyable at all. No one's taking any sort of macabre pleasure in watching a side get annihilated tonight, but it is a massive story. We're 102 points down. It's not even 3/4 time. All smiles for David Zaharakis.
Well, played in some 100-point losses, and it's not good. You actually feel a little bit helpless out there, and it's not that you're actually not trying. You just become that devoid of any confidence. You end up being a bit paralysed almost, and you don't do anything.
Out of the middle, Heppel. Carlisle, we're down the last 30 seconds here. And I'll tell you what, that record score of the Bombers against Melbourne in 1986 of a 122-point margin is very much at 102 now, under threat, with a full quarter of football to come.
Hold Heath.
Roden sideways to Turlich. He just wants to hold the ball. There it is, the 3/4 time siren. What an unbelievable quarter from the Bombers. 8 goals to Melbourne's 1. And boy, oh boy, what is that man there going to say to his team at 3/4 time when you're 102 points down? The Bombers 21-11, 137. Melbourne 5-5, 35.
Perhaps you do end up 150-point winners on the night. I think there's a lot of Bomber players out there are thinking just that. I'll fill my boots right up tonight. Cranberry's thinking 8 or 9. Joe Watson's looking at a PB. He's got 29 disposals. He's kicked 3 goals. Fascinating to get the pre-game address from Mark Neild, and they had the big square around Joe Watson. Do not let him get near the footy. He is just,
and guess what,
in a training drill at the moment.
Gets his first clearance again, Das. We've just seen it all night after you pointed out on the board that that wasn't to happen. Here's Jones. Just managed to get boot to ball. Thomas there. Merritt's been good. The 2 youngsters playing together, didn't get rid of it. Got to be incorrect disposal.
Really good. Really good tackle there. Microphone issue there, BT.
You're good, Richo. The Bombers by 102. Little flick up here from Bagley. Heppel, who's played a blinder. Carlisle shrugs off that high tackle from Davey. Some would say maybe ducked into it, but he's still got to tackle correctly.
Cameron Ling, they might be listening to Lingy, because I'm looking at Colin Sylvia. He's tracking Joe Watson there, top right of your screen. And I think the coaching staff has decided to do exactly what Lingy's been pushing for, make Colin Sylvia play on a gun in Watson.
Have a look at this. Here's Hurley, needed clean hands. He said they're no good, so I'll just kick it along the ground.
Well, what do you say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals in a row now for the Bombers. Michael Hurley, not very often you can fumble 2 times in the goal square and then have time to soccer it without anyone getting a fingernail on you, and that's where this game is at the moment.
Let's get down to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, Stuart Cramery is downstairs with Bruce Reid, the Essendon doctor, having his left knee checked. Brian, he was off in the first quarter, down the race for a while, and came back and he played pretty well, off again. Mitch Clark also struggling. Melbourne are trying to work out whether they try and get him off.
108 points here at the moment. Shannon Burns to Roden.
Stewie Cramery, you'll be doing everything you can to get back out there. It's a night you do not want to miss.
Absolutely. Richo's penciled in 10 for him.
Well, he would have been thinking that when number 6 went through.
Hocking, nothing on the outside, so he sold that dummy beautifully. And kicks around the body. There's Garland.
I don't care how much footy's changed. If you've got 6 at three-quarter time,
you're looking at...
You're thinking at least 8.
You're thinking close to that.
Yeah.
Here's Hurley. Gets a really good look in. Now, beautiful lead by Ryder, but Garland got back to cut it off nicely.
A few good defensive efforts early. Garland, although just fumbled that at ground level.
So Howlett does his best to lock it in.
At least he came off his man then. That was going to be a chest mark to Paddy Ryder. And he came off his man and at least influenced the contest.
Getting a good insight into the two people I work with up here, Lee, Richo and BT. Not thinking about the team, maybe a record win for the team. How many goals can I kick?
I did notice
done
that.
all the team
They were right onto it, weren't they?
What about the me associated with the two big forwards? Kick it to me, I might kick a bag of 10.
Don't.
What are we working
You're
with
only
here?
human, and if your job's to kick goals, that's what you do.
Look after your team and yourself. That was my motto, Das. Here is Howlett from about 40 metres out. Really tough angle. That's bending back nicely, though. That'll be a goal. He slid that past the front of the goal post. 114-point margin. Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, Stuart Cramery's reappeared on the bench. He's having a very serious chat. They're talking about what they might want to do with him, Brian. You can see him sitting there, Bruce Reid with his back to us, Marion Jones, the physio. So they're checking. You can see the left knee getting a checking in there. It has got some swelling in it from what I've picked up, Brian. So I know what you said, Richo. He's got 6 up, but they want to protect him as well.
Well, we'll be filthy with Doc Reid then, because he wants to get back on the ground. Doc's cost him a couple.
Yeah. He's going, I'm all right, Doc. Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc, I'm all right. Well, this is turning into a dart score. 114 darts right at the moment.
And I said it about halfway through the second quarter, 100-point smashings eat away at the fabric of footy clubs. And
well, we all remember that famous 186 points when Geelong defeated Melbourne. You know what happened next?
that was the end of Dean Bailey.
It was.
Played in a 136-point loss in 1996. It was the end of Alan Joyce.
Here's Watson to Ryder. And Lingy, do you remember that 186-point defeat of Melbourne?
I do, BT. I remember it well, and I suppose what I spoke about at three-quarter time was a little bit of the mindset of the Geelong team that day. It was forget about the score and forget about what's happening to the opposition. You just keep piling it on and you keep playing the way you want to play. And at the end of the day, we looked up at the scoreboard and almost couldn't believe it. It wasn't a pretty day for the Melbourne Footy Club, but we enjoyed it.
Paddy Ryder, as if the premierships weren't enough. 45 metres out, drills at home.
Just a bit of showtime too for the boys there.
He's had a good night, Paddy Ryder.
Yes, he's looked sensational. I love him in the ruck.
How that ruck work, honestly, you can't do much better than what he has tonight in the middle. It was a clinic in there at one stage.
I saw him win the Anzac Day medal going back a few years ago. He had 16 tackles as a ruckman. He's played a bit forward, a bit back. I think he needs to play there all the time, Richo. He would be a scary prospect with that athletic ability.
Paddy Ryder just kicking a goal there, Das, but his ruck work in the middle tonight, outstanding. That's where he plays his best, doesn't he?
Yeah, love to see him there, about 70% of game time. With that athleticism, his spring, he's destroyed them tonight in the centre of the ground. And he had 16 tackles, you remember, on Anzac Day to win the medal a few years ago. Paddy Ryder is really suited to the on-ball stuff.
10 consecutive goals now
Guys, no chance, no prior.
by the Bombers for this 120-point lead, threatening their greatest ever win. The Bombers here of 165 against South Melbourne in 1964.
They've got a luxury, Essendon, because Bell Chambers has kicked 4 goals tonight. He can go forward and not be one team that can sort of have 2 ruckmen doing 50% of the time. Most teams have got one dominant ruckman. They've got 2.
This is a very clean movement forward. It seems all the energy is now definitely gone from the Demons, and Hurley takes the easiest of marks. There's once again the defender zoning off to the inside of the ground.
And boys, Melbourne trying anything. The last two centre bounces, Mitch Clark started in both of them, not as the ruckman, as an on-baller, and actually got 2 centre clearances out of it. So Melbourne just trying anything as Hurley squares it up to Heppel. Gee, Heppel's had a good game tonight.
That contest there between young McDonald and Hurley, that just showed the confidence of the young man there. All he was worried about was initiating contact with Michael Hurley instead of just playing the ball on its merits and just gone into your shell there.
Heppel comes in, Richo, and makes it a clean 126 points.
Running out of room on the score sheet here, Richo, as we write the goals down. That is 11 unanswered.
It's his first goal. Dyson Heppel, 31 disposals, had 23 at half-time, so a little bit quieter in the second half, but career best tonight for Dyson.
Don't know whether Crameri's going to get another look, Doc.
I don't think he is. He just took his boot off so he could get that compression sleeve on his knee, BT, and he's talking to Doc Reed, but I think Richo, he's going to be 6, and that's all he's going to get tonight.
Does look very much that way.
Melbourne free kick to Jones.
Umpire Chris Cameron's there.
Battled hard. Nathan Jones probably been their best player tonight.
Yep, always does. Here's Vine. He's been a quieter night for him in game number 2.
Yeah, I think he had a pretty big injury, an ankle roll, and pretty brave effort, I think, for Jack Vine to get back out in the ground.
You can't underestimate. Jones has had 22, and a team that's lost by 20 goals now, 21 goals. He's battled through a tag of hocking and still been the leading possession getter, so he can hold his head high.
Last goal came at the 3-minute mark of the 3rd quarter for the Demons. Here is Trengove, just kicked it to the near side, so just the 1 second half goal so far for the Demons.
Oh, Hallett's out here, the kick in. And
oh, good spot, Das.
it's just breakdown in every facet of the game at the moment. There is no system at all.
Look at this, a man that loves to run with the ball. I reckon he can go and kick it from here. Could have run a little bit more. Unselfishly gets it to Hurley, couldn't hold the mark. Davey over the line, ran out of space, and that'll be a free kick to Davey. He'll get this. He was over the boundary, and Gillies slung him.
Ball's over the boundary, clearly. Straight back from there.
So Alwyn, left footer, wrong side. What does he do here? Left foot banana.
He'll have a shot, I can guarantee you that much. Don't worry about a pass.
Look at this angle.
Or he runs out and snaps it on his opposite side, right foot.
What a great shot by the 7 cameras. Left foot snap, and there it is. Boy, almost pulled it off. Correct decision there from the umpires. That replay clearly shows. Gillies almost apologising. Knocked away from Trumbus. Work, rest and play at the end of the game. Darcy's favourite segment. 126-point lead to the Bombers.
Concentrating, boys. Separation.
Thanks, mate.
So,
Nate Jones at the bottom again.
4 goals consecutively in this last quarter here for Essendon. Melbourne actually don't look like kicking one here. Stanton at the bottom of that. Little handball out. Here's Grimes, who's swinging around on the right, and Dempsey's done well off half-back tonight too.
Now, Das, I've got to ask, times have changed in football clubs, but is it still a matter for the coach to, after a game like this and a game last week, tell them to bring their mouth guards to training and they're going to do competitive work during the week?
Well, I think they probably should have done it this week, Lingy. And I'd be surprised if you didn't do that at some stage this week. Played intra-club match and just did exactly that. Got them to smash into each other and find a way to be competitive. If they haven't, well, they've got to do it this week. I agree that it might be old-fashioned, some of the things we're talking about, but...
Well, I remember at Richmond under Robert Walsh, we had a 80-odd point loss one day, and we turned up at 7 o'clock the next morning, and we ran a lap of the square for every point we lost by.
Did you?
Yeah,
a lap of the square for every point.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Fletcher to Heppel. He can go if he wants, and he will. Got to get back on the left. Now he opens the angle and goals. 132 points.
Oh, no. I'm not laughing there at the scoreline. I'm laughing at you, actually, Brian. But it is, you're not sure what else you can talk about, Richard, apart from what we're witnessing. And you do go back to the old coaches that you had, and you know that would be exactly what would happen. You'd start at 6 o'clock in the morning. You'd be doing some boxing in the gym. There'd be some blood drawn.
Dyson Heppel, 2 goals now, career best. Jumped off the end of Kerford Road at 5 o'clock one morning too, BT.
Yeah.
Just swam in the ice and the icebergs. It was in the middle of July. That was a nice morning.
They've well and truly surpassed Essendon's biggest win ever over the Demons of 122 points back in 1986. The next record they're hunting is their greatest ever win over anyone, 165 points. Here's Hurley to Heppel. Heppel, good body position. Jamar did well. Now Gillies. But it's going to come back. Goddard. He's a big kick, and he's a really good short kick. And Stanton will give them a chance to go 138 up. Little problem down on the Melbourne bench, Doc. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yeah, it was Colin Garland. He took a really heavy hit. They played the free kick against him. It should have been a free to Garland. He got absolutely hit round the head and round the neck. They're checking him, Brian, for a head knock.
Stanton comes in, stabs at the ball. 13 straight goals for the Bombers.
I think you spoke about putting the mouth guards in and maybe an old-fashioned punch on at training. And I know I spoke about the beards pre-game.
Oh, you're not going to
I'm going to go back to it, BT, because you know what? When you get hammered, do you want to stand out more for a beard growing contest, or
how's the beard going to help?
Because you
Is
know
it
what?
an actual contest, or is it just the fashion of the day?
Whatever it is, I'd be going in and going, enough of the tomfoolery around here, boys. I don't care who can grow the biggest beard. I don't care about the fashion statements.
So the
We're
headline,
getting humiliated.
so the
Brian.
headline tomorrow will be the beard's done it.
It won't be the headline. The headline will be that they've been absolutely pummeled again. We don't know where they're going as a club, but they're the little things. It's just Sydney. You can get away with it when you compete hard and you win every week, but you can't jump on the fashion trend. I reckon when you
we'll tell them to bring the mouth guards and the razors to training then in the
I'll
morning.
be doing both of those things.
Here's Goddard. Fascinating the way the Bombers are going on with this. Lingy mentioned it at three-quarter time. Now the really good sides will want to hammer. And there's just a little bit of Hollywood from Brendan, given the scores. He went the torp that didn't quite happen for him. Comma got hold of it, left foot around the body. I think that's going to bounce the opposite way, and it does.
Yeah, BT, it's only a very small thing, but you're spot on about Goddard there. James Hird wouldn't have liked that. I know it's a simple thing. I know he's got every right to try and do something because they're going to win the game easy. But what Hurdy wanted in this last quarter would have been a really professional, ruthless effort. And they've done that for the majority. Don't need to be doing anything fancy like trying to kick barrels from 90 out.
I remember what James Hird, one of the first things he said when he went to Essendon, was a player called Kyle Reimers, I think had bright orange boots with the laces in, Richard, and he said that not required for you, Kyle. I think you might want to go the regulation boots until you show us that you're up to it. That's old school, Richard. You're looking at me like I'm talking another language, mate.
Darts is onto the boots and beards.
You don't run on your beard. Your legs are what you run on, and they're just not running. They're not competing.
They're not competing.
You don't
That's the
tackle
issue.
with your beard.
They were competing.
Hocking's got a shot at goal here. And this to make it 14 straight Essendon goals. Hocking as the crowd hushes. comes in and kicks it out of bounds on the full. So this Melbourne story is going to get bigger this week as a result.
It's going to be huge.
We've seen what happened last week after a loss to Port Melbourne here. Well, this
Port
week,
Adelaide.
a better team probably at the moment, Essendon, but going to get smashed.
Well, they're miles behind the rest of the competition at the moment because GWS and Gold Coast have been very competitive rounds 1 and 2. Port Adelaide are 2-0. The Western Bulldogs have won 1 and lost 1 and were very competitive today again, and they're a long way off it at the moment.
Who they got next to us?
They play the Giants here. They're leaning at the MCG, and that is going to be a fascinating afternoon.
Off hands, Melksham.
Sorry, they play West Coast here at the MCG. It's the Giants
And then
the week after.
yeah.
My mistake.
Yep. So that is really going to test them, the West Coast Eagles, another one of the premiership favourites. And the GWS in round 4 is going to be an intriguing battle.
Is that here, GWS?
Yep. Yep. Myers.
Boys, I just said Brendan Goddard shouldn't have been trying to kick barrels from 90. Yeah, Dustin Fletcher can do what he likes. He's allowed to have a shot from 90.
Bit of cramp.
Elwyn Davey in a little bit of trouble just in front of us as well.
He's nailed those before. Dustin Fletcher, those barrels.
Yeah, that's a short kick for Dustin.
Is that a cramp, Doc, just in front of us with Elwyn Davey there? Looked like it may have been. Doc just nodding the approval. And he's coming off with the stiff leg. And we've seen a lot of players in these first couple of rounds towards this stage of the game really start to have effects.
We were up on the Gold Coast last week, and it would have been a dozen or more players that were feeling the effects of cramp. It seems more than I can remember in the past, but
Yeah.
not sure why that is.
Here's Watson. Bagley. And really, this is just training now. Bell Chambers kicked early goals tonight. Kicked 2 in the first quarter, in fact.
You're spot on, Brian. That's what it looks like out there at the moment. It's like a training drill.
Goddard wants it short here. You can just see drifting into your screen.
Hibbert goes long and deep. Right of the target, over the back it comes. Kept it alive, Merritt, no one home. Nate Jones will mop it up for the Demons. He had trouble with the clean hands at ground level, and a disbelieving Mark Neild at the moment.
Yeah, that would be a very uncomfortable night as a senior coach. And second game of the year, you've got high expectations. They felt like they trained really well pre-season. They got smashed by one of the bottom of the ladder sides in Port Adelaide in round 1, and they've turned up tonight. And a lot of joy for James Hurd. Essendon no longer the story.
That round 4 clash is looming as a massive game.
Yeah, the GWS one, it is.
Robert Thompson at halftime touched on the fact that Essendon had kept Melbourne to such a low score, and they're aiming to keep it very low in the second half. That's the thing they're going to be most pleased about from this second half. 36 points Melbourne are on at the moment, deep in the last quarter. That is a terrific defensive effort. They've outplayed Melbourne on all parts of the ground, but their defensive effort has been first class.
Does wonderful things for their percentage, doesn't it?
Hamish McIntosh has just put a tweet out there. Ridiculous call on the Beards. Players are allowed to have a life.
Yep, I would have thought so.
Fair call from Hamish.
By the way, this margin at the moment, 140 points, has added roughly 100% onto their percentage tonight.
It's going to be really tight. Again, you would suspect for final spots because the Gold Coast and GWS will win more games this year, and percentage will be important come the end of the season.
Heppel with another Hollywood one from the boundary line.
Daniel Harford, former Hawk, he has tweeted in saying getting absolutely no joy from watching the D's being so helpless, but just can't look away.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that, isn't
It's
it?
a little magnetising, isn't it? 51,153 people here tonight.
Good crowd.
141 points, closing in on their biggest victory ever of 165. And Davey, I don't know whether the Doc, you hearing us down there, Dr. Peter Larkins?
Yeah, I was talking, Brian, before. He's really struggling. It is cramp, and they're laughing at him, which is very unkind, I would have thought, but he hasn't been able to stand up since they carried him across the interchange.
Okay, well, that's the good news.
I'm going to go and back up what you said of Nathan Jones tonight, Richo. He's probably the one player I think that you could look at who might have a tick alongside of his name tonight from a Melbourne point of view.
Viney looking to work it along. Here's a genuine one-on-one. Tompkins and Hibberd. And ball back. Hooker says, I'll just try and fend you off. Need to get rid of the ball. Went low there, Hibberd. Melbourne here just desperate to score a goal. I've only kicked the one goal in this last half.
Have a look at some of the numbers on your screen there. Disposals almost double. Contested possessions.
That's the one that Mark Neal wouldn't like, the contested possession.
Within inside 50, 75 to 26.
Just get the feeling that the Bombers have just slightly decelerated here in their efforts, more through probably fitness than
Nothing silly, boys.
than attitude, I would have thought.
Free kick, Melbourne.
Free kick here against Jakey Melsham, just showing a little bit of aggression to Frawley. Just gave him a little slap across the cheeks.
I think I saw him use the old classic look at the scoreboard.
Here's Roden.
Can't really answer that one when you're down by as much as you are.
It's ugly. Not off the mark, so the umpire calls play on, but Hocking, hasn't got the strength to go and attack here. Have a look at this. Both players in second gear at the moment. Nice spoil in the end by Bagley. That ball was out of bounds. Two umpires within 5 metres and neither saw it.
At least Dave Roden then, he took the game on. I know it's late, but at least he tried to play on and create something, and they got an inside 50 as the result.
Hard to see any side scoring from this point in time on, but Bombers just need, if they can open up the other side of the ground here, they can score some quick goals. Watson.
Disposal number 36 coming up for Joe Watson. He's kicked 3 goals, 2, 9 clearances, 3 tackles.
He might have 6 votes in the Brownlow following his win, I reckon.
Question without notice, Lingy. If Mark Neal's got to address this team after the game, I want you to tell us in a minute or so what you would say to these players if you were in Mark Neal's position, if anything at all. Here's Goddard.
I would be taking my time, BT. I wouldn't be addressing them in a hurry because he would be absolutely fuming, and you don't want to do it in a really, really angry mood. Maybe you should, some Melbourne supporters would say, but you've got to calmly go about this. You can't kick them while they're down. You've got to make sure somehow you build them up. You've got another game to play next week. It's almost got to be tactical the way they go about it.
You're going slightly on the positive side of things.
Not positive, BT, but just not overly angry and super negative.
Right. You can't massage this anyway, though. This is... Melbourne fans expect more when you turn up at the footy.
Yeah, I think it'll be... I'm not sure you'd have a chat at all. I think it's... I'll see you about 5:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'm with you on that now.
And we'll have a think about it then, and we'll start our preparation for next week as early as that.
Yeah, I don't mind that ploy either.
Sounds old-fashioned, but you've got to...
A lot of coaches, boys, wouldn't talk to their players after a game, win, lose or draw. They wait until Monday because they know that they can have gone through the game and reviewed it a bit better.
Stanton going for the long bomb. It's on line. It's all about whether it's got the journey, and it fell short by a metre. And Howe right on the goal line.
He might be the only other player, Jeremy Howe, I think.
He's been...
You have a tick alongside his name, Nathan Jones, and he
plays on a bit more instinct. He goes at the ball in the air, doesn't go into his shell.
Essendon needs one more goal for its highest score against against Melbourne, I'm sorry. Here's Davey around the corner, misses, minus score. So 142 points is now the difference. We've got 2 minutes to play in this one. And just not enough words to describe how Melbourne have played here tonight. Just very awkward position, other than terrible. Back inside, Frawley. Watson was electric and has been. Dempsey kicks the goal, and there it is. Another record tumbles. So their highest score against Melbourne now, 184 points.
And 148-point margin. And just trying to add up how many goals in a row that is unanswered.
14 does.
14 unanswered goals. And we can see inset there some of the Melbourne supporters have hung around. The Bomber fans haven't gone anywhere. They have really enjoyed it. And perhaps that's where we need to focus a little bit on. We've forgotten the massive story of Essendon and who knew what their start to the year was going to be like. They were fantastic against the Adelaide Crows to win over there first up, and now to front up and perform in the manner they have done tonight. They have been incredibly ruthless, polished. They're an exciting unit, Essendon. They really are. I think they're building to something pretty special, this group.
So Dempsey here. By the way, there are no more scores added to the board. This will be the second greatest winning margin ever for the Bombers.
There's Dustin Fletcher
against anyone
on your screen there, Bristol. It amazes me. They don't protect him at all. He just plays every minute of every game.
Yeah.
Fletcher, he loves it.
You'd reckon he would come off, but obviously he wants to stay there. They protect his legs. And
caught up with him during the week, Bristol. He was saying that he doesn't take extended time off over the summer. James Hird, in the latter part of his year, used to come back midway through January and he could train like an animal, Hirdy, when he was away from the club. He said he just likes to chip away at it, be at training all the time, just manage his own training pretty well, but he loves being around the club. Thinks he performs better when he's amongst his mates. He's got the formula down pat, as he said, 20 years and almost to the day that he debuted at Essendon.
Unbelievable, 20 years and 3 days ago he debuted. Here he is on cue. Don't they love him? Unbelievable. Will challenge the 400 game mark without any doubt, this man, Dustin Fletcher. Ticking down here now. A massive 148-point victory. Essendon's second greatest winning margin ever against anyone in their 117-year history. Oh, yes. 148 points. From the second gamer there. Very, very disappointed. Nate Jones tried and tried and tried. One second half goal. That's all they could conjure up, the Demons. And the Bombers showed no mercy. Let's go down to Cameron Ling.
Well, Dice, wow. What else can I say? You boys were fantastic and just absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, Lingy, you're right. I just, I don't know. I think we're really sticking to our team structures, everything that we tried to put in place over the pre-season. I think we did really well tonight. Our pressure around the ball, our work around clearances. I think it was a fantastic four-quarter performance, which you don't usually see, so it was great.
And from your own form, you seem to be really enjoying the freedom of running around the midfield. Had a truckload of the footy, kicked a couple of goals. You're enjoying being around that middle part of the ground a bit more?
Yeah, no doubt, Lingy. As you would know, it's a place you want to be in the middle. So no, I'm really enjoying it. You know, the work that I've been learning from Joe Watson, Brent Stanton has been fantastic, and just to watch the way they go about it, it makes it easy for me to learn. Yeah.
And you've got to be enjoying crumbing to Paddy Ryder in the centre bounces. He was just fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a fantastic ruckman, as with Tommy Bell Chambers. So they got on top, and it makes our job easy.
Right on, mate. Enjoy yourself.
Man, we can thanks, mate.
Cameron Ling, have a look at this. Some very stern faces there as they leave the ground. Melbourne supporters have gathered around the race. And this is very, very unfortunate. Words being directed towards the players there as they leave the ground. And this is not a great sight if you're a Melbourne fan. On the other hand, the Bombers big winners. Back to you, Lingy.
Thanks, BT. I've got Brendan Goddard here. 2 games for the Essendon Bombers. You've got to be enjoying yourself, mate.
Yeah, so far so good, mate. You know, tonight was just all about putting in a great effort. We probably knew Melbourne was going to come out, obviously, after the week they had and have a crack. And it was just more about ourselves tonight, with respect to the opposition, but just more about maintaining that consistent effort, which we obviously played 2 weeks ago. So I was a bit nervous coming into this week to how the boys would respond, but it's a credit to the way we performed tonight.
It really is the best way to handle an opposition that's down on confidence, isn't it? Get off to a great start and just crush them straight away.
Yeah, we just talked about in the contest earlier, they're obviously going to come out and give it a red-hot tip, and it's matching him early, and they just kept grinding him away. And the boys it's a real even performance tonight, which is really pleasing.
Well, well done, mate. Well done in your own form too. Nice getting a bit of the ball.
Yeah, I was a bit anxious last week and running around a headless chook, but tonight I just settled down, and yeah, it was a great team performance.
Great work, BJ.
Thanks, Lee.
Well, that image there, to me, sums up the feeling from a Melbourne perspective, isn't it?